gone, and as most of the merchants have moved out to the malls, the downtown stores in our cities and towns are being taken over more and more by antique shops. But I remember when the largest secondhand store in the world was just down the street from the house I grew up in Milford, New Hampshire. Reed's White Elephant Shop. It used to be right here in an old shoe factory. In fact, the factory was where my great-grandfather, Addison Wetherbe, apprenticed back before the Civil War. Later, it became a factory that made most of the U.S. post office boxes. When I was growing up, the entire mill was like a museum filled with wonders. Everything the slogan on the front of the building said, from a collar button to an elephant. And when I say Reed's was the largest in the world, this is no mere boast. I can prove it. In March of 1943, Life magazine published a big photo spread on the White Elephant.
You could go there if you want, and you could buy a kitchen stool or a Spanish War bayonet or a cast iron fixture for your stove. Everything was there. It was wonderful.
Bill Roach is publisher of the Milford Cadet, and he remembers the slogan, anything from a collar button to an elephant. But an elephant?
Oh, yes. Everybody was very clever at that point and said, oh, Mr. Reed, I'm interested in an elephant. And Harold Reed would say, well, we have an arrangement with the Benson Wild Animal Farm, and just tell me how large a one you want and where you want it shipped, and it will come COD.
Benson's Wild Animal Farm was, you may remember, just down the road from Milford in Hudson. And like the White Elephant, Benson's, too, no longer exists. And Harold Reed, well, he never did sell an elephant. But there were other wonders there.
Every floor was filled with something. No matter what it was, if you was looking for something, you'd get it. It'd be in there. Prices, like I say, were from $250,000 to $5,000 or more.
This is Milford Selectman Rosario Ricciardi, known affectionately as Saruch.
I used to go in and he'd say, what are you going to do, just browse around again today? I said, no, I got a quarter, I might buy something today.
Well, I remember one of the big rooms on the first floor, maybe it was the second floor, just had nothing but chairs in it. And the floor was all, every kind of chair you could imagine. The floor was all filled with chairs. And then they were hanging from the ceiling. All the straight chairs were hanging from the ceiling. So you had this massive room just absolutely filled with chairs. This was the beauty of this. This was not a place where he put up prices. He charged very little for everything, and that was what was fun. We were just starting out and starting a household, and if you needed a bookcase, why, you went down there, and you didn't pay $25 for it. You probably got it for $2 or $3. And this was the same with everything. That was why it was so great, because the prices were very, very low.
Patty Roach is Bill Roach's wife, and she has a special attachment to the White Elephant because her grandfather used to own the building.
I know more about it when it got to be about 1890, when John McLean bought it and made it the McLean Manufacturing Company, and they manufactured post office equipment. And for many, many, many years, any post office that you went into throughout the country had a McLean Manufacturing Company, Milford, New Hampshire, post office equipment in it.
Finally, it burnt. In 1966, on a Sunday, and it was a snowy day like today. We thought it was set. We
heard the alarm, and then you looked out and you could see light in the sky. So I got my camera, went down, took some pictures. By that time, it was pretty much all engulfed. Of course, the sad thing is that we lost this because probably it was arson, not, that's what they thought. And to lose a nice building for that, it's bad enough to lose it for fire, but it's having lost from arson is very sad.
They know who set the fire. It was one in a series of fires that happened in Milford about that time, and the arsonist was finally put away, a sad chapter in the town's history. It was not, by the way, the owners of the mill who set the fire. The buildings had been there over 100 years. Reed's White Elephant had been there only 27 years, no time at all in the great scheme of things. But for the time it was there, it was, because of the Life magazine article, world famous.
There were people that came from England, Scotland, And if you looked out in the front to see the cars that were parked, you could see them from California, Nevada, all around the country. It was world famous.